Alright, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the zone. We have another sermon today. And the topic of today's sermon is kind of like taking up a lot of my bandwidth today because I also have to make a Patreon/YouTube video about this topic later. So it's very apt that I happened to do the research for this and then happened to get the message from God that, oh, hey, you're going to talk about that in the sermon too. Oh, okay. But just kind of edit this up here. I got my laptop out with my notes on it. Okay. Cool. But hello, everyone. So, hello, Garlina, what's going on? Welcome to the zone. As I was saying earlier, this is kind of like space for Christian Witches. We got another sermon today, and here in America, at least, it is June, which is Pride Month. That is relevant for today's message. But we're going to just kind of give a hot minute, let people come on in, chat for a second. I will talk a little bit here once I get going with the sermon. I'm not going to be super duper... I'm not really going to be taking questions during that time. That'll be for after. We could chat a little bit after. Then I gotta go. But, welcome. And also another thing. If you are not a Christian and you want to come sit with us, totally cool. If you are not a witch and you want to come sit with us, totally cool. All I ask is that, you don't, start shouting and being rude and saying mean things and being awful. Don't do that, right? If you're a Baptist or an evangelical and you would not go into a Catholic church and start yelling about idolatry and all the pagan and whatever else, don't do it here, right? That's just bad etiquette. There's no etiquette on earth that says doing that's okay. Treat this like a church, like a space that you would have some, manners in, and don't be doing silly things. That's all I ask. And I absolutely will not hesitate to mute and block people who cannot follow simple directions like that, so please keep that in mind. But, hello Yarn Rogue, welcome. This is supposed to be a safe, cozy space. Safe, cozy space for everyone to kind of hang out, chill with God for a minute, do their thing, hear a little message, and move on. That's it. This is not the time for debates and blah and up and down, that's not this. I don't speak whatever language that is, so I don't know. But everybody's gone. We just started, so people are just getting in here. Hello, welcome everyone. Come on in. Scrolled in here. Yeah. No, I just turned this on maybe not even 5 minutes ago, so. Hello everyone, welcome. Hello, hi. How are you? I had Bass cheese. Ooh. Making me jealous. Any kind of cheesecake is my favorite thing. What's your opinion on those Christian ex-witches testimonies? Actually, if you guys check out my YouTube channel, I did do a video about some of that where I looked at, especially on TikTok, some of the shorter ones, more direct ones, of people saying they were a witch and then it wasn't for them and they went Christian. I have very many thoughts. It depends on the person. Some people genuinely, witchcraft is not for them. That's okay. Witchcraft is not for everybody, right? Witchcraft is not something that's going to make sense to everyone, and that's okay. Other people who make weird, wild claims, feeling like they were getting jumped out of a gang. That's what one person said about witchcraft when they left. I was like, babe, what the... Okay. Most of the times, I think a lot of ex-witches just kind of have their own misconceptions about witchcraft that they don't break down, they don't work through. And so when they start doing it, they don't really understand what they're doing. They don't really get, what magic is. They don't think that sometimes morality still applies. And that gets them in trouble. And then when they get their ass kind of, boop, boop, by whatever forces are out there, they run back to what's comfortable. That's mostly what I notice. Or really they just need structure that something as self-directed as witchcraft doesn't do. If you're a witch, you're not saved by far. Hell's hot. Hell is not where people go. And this kind of fear-mongering is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry you have to have your hand held and be told what to do and what to believe, but that's not what we're doing here. So, again, right? A lot of people need to be told what to do, and there's not really anything wrong with that inherently. Like, sometimes people need structure, right? Sometimes it's better to start with a template of what it is you should be doing with your life, believing, and so on, than to try and make it all from scratch. And so for those people, organized religion is super helpful because it kind of gives you that standard template. Witchcraft is very much like, you can do it without any religious influence. Like, there are atheist and agnostic witches, there are, eclectic witches, there are just like nature-based witches, and so like having to make up your own spirituality and your own rules and your own kind of sandbox is a very different thing. Doesn't Christian witchcraft just juxtapose the concept of trusting God to do everything? No, not at all, because my greatest works only happen with God's approval, with God's, what's the word I'm looking for? Collaboration, I guess, right? I mean, like, and even then, if you make your own food, if you study for classes, if you do literally anything else than sit like a baby bird on the ground with your mouth open, you could say the same thing. Why don't you trust God to put food in your mouth? Why don't you trust God to put the grades on your report card? Why don't you trust God to, dress you and get you out the door? Obviously, at some point, you got to also take some initiative and use the power and skill and tools He gave you. Called Cunning Folk? Ooh, who's it by? Appalachian reads the Bible, so everyone there. Yeah, actually, in this book here. So we wrote a book for beginner Christian witches who are trying to get into it called Discovering Christian Witchcraft. And my co-writer, Mimi here, Email, she does come from an Appalachian folk perspective, and so she brings a lot of that Appalachian Pentecostal kind of point of view of this, whereas I'm coming from a more like Slovenian, like European Southern Catholic perspective. And so having that like old world Catholic plus new world like Pentecostal Appalachian is a really fun blend. Backwoods witchcraft? Ooh. See, I don't know much about Appalachian, so I should look into it because there's like a lot of folklore in there. Do you believe Ashra is the wife of God? I mean, like, I could see it. Yeah, I think she's still in there. May the Lord God forgive you. Okay. Let's not be weird about it. What are your thoughts on confession? I think that, like, having to go to another human and confess something is kind of silly. If we're talking about, like, Catholic, like, get in a box with a priest and button, I think that's kind of silly. I do, however, think that there should be periods of cleansing where we look at God and we're like, I did some shit. I did some stuff and it wasn't great and sorry. Like, it's every now and then, right? You should kind of reboot. Okay, so trying to catch up on some of these things. So I don't know if this person's still here, but they asked, where can I go to understand your theology in depth? Definitely this book, or if you don't have, or, the funds or anything for this book, that's totally fine. My entire page, I have a whole Christian Witch info playlist, free for all. I have a YouTube channel, I have a blog, here's the thing, right? This book, yes, does it cost real American dollars? Yes. However, much of what's in this book, obviously there are some specific things that took the year of research it did to make this, but a lot of what's in this book can also be found all over my page, all over my blog, all over everywhere that I post stuff for free as well. I try to post as much resources, stuff, everything about this free as possible, but obviously also I gotta eat too. So at some point, if anyone does choose to support me, and email by purchasing our works, that is also very helpful and we appreciate it so much. So thank you all who have already purchased this. If anyone's interested and wants to grab a copy also, you can get it on TikTok Shop once they're back in stock this week. You can pre-order some of the new stock coming in on my website, link is in my bio, or you can go on Amazon, right? So I got ebooks there as well. Really appreciate anyone who has the interest in going to get such thing. Oh hey, look, we have one of those ex-witches turned Christians. There's no such thing. I was in witchcraft for 10 years until God delivered me. He hates witchcraft. I don't know what God you're talking to, but it's not the one true God. Sorry. You can't operate religion without magic. Whatever you were doing, you can't be... Yeah, well, we talk about his word in this. whatever God you're following is not the one true God. It is a man-made concept that you have invented based on very poor scholarship of the Bible. I'm sorry. Not to be like a dick, but like that's kind of just the be-all end-all. How can you reconcile the verses that condemn witchcraft by researching them? No, you twist his word in that. Nope. Actually, research his word. Oh, thank you for the gift. But we talk about all these kinds of verses and the words that were actually used and the context, socio-political, cultural, everything else. Yeah, like, here's another thing. What we call witchcraft today is not what these verses are talking about. What we call witchcraft today, back then was just called religion. Like that's just how it went, you know? Like, open up Leviticus 14 and tell me that doesn't look like anything Hollywood would tell you is spooky. It's even got animal sacrifice in it. Like, come on. Hi, Leslie. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you for ordering that. I will have that going in probably by tomorrow. I'd take about a couple days to get tarot readings done. Use the Bible version, which is translated directly from the original Greek verse. I use Bible verses that are put in plain English, but are made by scholars, like Jewish Study Bible, Jewish Annotated New Testament. Do I have those around here? Oh, no. They're a mile away. Leviticus is wild. I love Leviticus. Like, there are things that are like, oh, you just have like a whole ritual for like anti-eczema in here? I don't know if dermatologists recommend this one, but alright. Aw, Christian uncle made me cry so much by saying, remember your gifts and magic come from God. That's really sweet. No, and like that's kind of like the Christian witch perspective, right? Is that our magic comes from God, that breath of life. That's magic. That's our energy, right? Neo-Gnosticism get around tried God limitations. I don't really need that, but thanks. Thoughts on reincarnation? I believe in it. I think that's a thing that happens. Especially because, like, the actual end goal of the soul is not what people think it is. Could saints be egregores or spirits? It's a good question. There's a lot of saint lore that is definitely, like, legendized, like, exaggerated and stuff. So it's possible that, fiction is mixed with truth and created this kind of, like, compound spirit, if that makes sense. Not what people think it is? Oh, do you mean, like, what? I've already forgotten what I said, so you're gonna have to remind me. Have you ever gotten sick when cleaning your place of bad vibes? Honestly, I just know that my place needs to be cleaned when, like, it just feels, like, claustrophobic in here. Like, eventually at the end of the week, my pigeon, I haven't shown you him. He's been taking his little afternoon nap. Oops, I did not mean to, oh my god, I'm doing boomer things, hold on. Like my little boy right here. If I could flip this camera. He's in there, taking his little afternoon nap, but he gets seeds all over the floor, as you can see when he eats. So, like, every now and then, obviously you gotta fix the house, gotta make it not a mess anymore. And so I know that, like, the vibes are ick when I have this claustrophobic feeling, when I'm like, okay, I need to put things away, I need to, like, clean the floors and, like, all that stuff. It's just, like, at least once a week, reset. Goal of the soul? Oh, okay, yeah, so the goal of the soul isn't to get to heaven. Like, heaven's a really nice place. It's like a resort for the soul, but it's not the end goal of the soul. The end goal of the soul is the dissolution of ego, aka, like, your concept of self, of a distinct personality, and the complete merge with God. So basically, you are no longer. It's like if a drop of water gets connected to the ocean, where that drop of water is no longer one single bead. It is once again part of that great body. On demons, I didn't say hell. Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't say hell's not real. I just said it's not where we go. And I think demons are really cool. So we've got some teddy bear fool acting a fool. Sorry, friend, but you gotta act like a civilized person if you want to come stay here. We can retain individuality above. Nope, that is inherently not how God works. Your concept of trad God is not complete. I'm sorry. Christians can do Christian magic. Solomon's technically Jewish, but yeah. Does draconic magic fit in with Christian magic? It can. There is, like if I show you my demon altar, I got a big ol' boop right there. There are some draconic elements, but it's not quite the same. Dragon spirits, I feel like, are more almost like fairy spirits in a way. So you can be a Christian and be a witch? Yes. Christian and witch blasphemy. I mean, dude, you have the tetragrammaton in your name. That's not necessarily a good idea. Nope, I don't know where you learned from, but neo-Gnosticism is not it, in my opinion. And the point at the end is that all things come back together. All things are one. All things become part of God again. God is not just like one figure. God is the entire fabric of the universe, you know? If you write, you're doing spells. If you make soup, you're a witch. I mean, yeah. As a kitchen witch and also a writer, yes. That's not good. That's making yourself small. No. We are the universe. God is the universe. God is us. We are God. We are already God. We're just kind of distincted, separated. And one day we'll all be back in one. Repent of your sin. Okay. Why? Okay. Genuine question for you, third son Seth. Why do you people come in here with that kind of stuff? Do you do that like in public, like in everyday life? Like when you go to the grocery store, is that like the first thing out of your mouth to people? What is your goal with that? What do you think doing that achieves? When it comes to other gods, so I'm personally not a Christo-pagan. They do exist. I'm not one, but Christo-paganism works with the idea that all gods exist, and it's just that if you're going to work with or worship any of them, you have to put God on top. You have to put God at the first priority, right? And so that comes from like, you shall have no other gods before me, as in like, no, God needs to be top. And specifically, actually, in my Bible, there are footnotes that say, like, actually, yeah, God really doesn't care if Gentiles have other gods. It's just that when he is in their presence, they need to recognize his superiority. Okay. You know? This is why you should never trust religion. I mean, you should never trust what people say about religion. That is the gospel, what makes you a Christian. I'm not understanding. What is your purpose of just shouting that at people? I'm a Catholic who practice tarot and candle work. Love me some Jesus. We are gods, not the God. Well, that's confused. Say more about that, official world. Say more about that. We are gods, not the God. Say more about that. You're teaching heresy. We're not God. We're made in gods. Nope. I've got one person saying, like, God bad. I've got another person saying God better than it all. Pfft. I love the mess that always happens in here. Teaching heresy. We're not God. No, we are God. We are pieces of God. If you take a drop of water out of the ocean, it is small. But it is made in the image of that great body of water, and it will one day return to that great body of water. It will be the ocean again, even now as it is just a drop. Can you use crystals and be a Christian? Yes. Oh, hey, you know what? While I'm sitting here and it's been 20 minutes, now I think we've got enough people. It's time for the actual sermon. Truth is purpose, doing God's purpose. Yep. When I heal, I challenge Jesus Christ. Do you know the scriptures that sorcerers won't inherit the kingdom of God? Yeah, that doesn't have to do with what I do, though. That's a very specific thing they're talking about. Sorcerers don't well, no. That verse is talking about, like, just being a harmful magician, being a fraud, being, basically someone who curses and hurts other people outside the bounds of justice. Anyway, so we've got some folks who can't behave. This is what I'm thank you again for the gifts. But this is what I'm talking about. So now that we're getting into the sermon. Also, please guys, don't respond to these people. I know that they say a bunch of things that we know are wrong and irritating and annoying, but just let them go yell themselves in the village square horse, and then they'll move on. Okay, they will move on. It's whatever. So we've got silly people everywhere. We don't really need them. This is now a church space. If you would not come into a different denomination's church building and start yelling stupid things, don't do it here. So, and at this point also, yep, Deuteronomy, we talk about that in this book. Doesn't mean what you think it means. Anyway, now we're going to start the sermon, which means I'm not taking questions anymore. This is church now, okay? If you wouldn't shout at the priest a billion questions in the middle, don't do it here. Alright? So, I see you guys have questions about baneful magic. We'll get to that at the end of this. And for now, let us get into the zone, okay? So, let me show you what I have over here. Flip my camera again. We have here, I tried to remember the frickin' try to remember the rainbow, but we've got that Roy G. Biv, all of our stones here. We've got a bell, we've got a candle. We've also got for God a little offering of frankincense, and then also fresh mint from the garden, daisy, all that kind of stuff. So, let us get into this here. We also have a bell. This is going to wake Belok right up. Hi, baby! But a little bit of sound cleansing. Can't stay on my break, don't worry. If you guys can't stay, if you gotta leave in the middle of this, I will be re-uploading it to my YouTube. And that'll be just fine. You guys can check it out later. But also, we have here... Oh yeah, by the way, my friend Spirituality sells a combo of this book and this kit. So it comes with things like holy water, it comes with things like holy oil, crystal bracelet, comes with this really gorgeous rosary that has St. Benedict's medal in it, a bell so you can do sound cleansing in your own house, all that kind of stuff. But, so, this is a little bit of holy oil, right, just kind of rub that around, lovely. And now, light a little candle here. Cool. That will catch. Ooh. And we also have a little bit of frankincense. So, frankincense is something that you'll often smell when you walk into a Catholic church, especially. If you ever know that churchy smell, please read Leviticus. I did. Bye. They absolutely do. Again, I'm just going to be muting people who want to be rude in the middle of a sermon. This is a church service. If you want to say your piece, wait until the end. Thank you. But if you ever walk into a Catholic church, this is where you will kind of get that smell. It's frankincense. I will mute anyone who is being rude in the middle of a sermon. Ta-da. Anyway, so, I'm going to do some of this for God. Alright, and now, just put that out, because I don't want too much, because I do have a bird, and they are a little bit sensitive to smoke, so I only do a little bit, and I have an air filter running as well. Okay. Let us all now gather for our opening psalm. This is Psalm 148, and this is one of my favorites. I like this one a lot. But again, if you guys have something to say, save it for the end of the live. But for now, Psalm 148, right? Goes like this. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord from the heavens. Praise him in the heights above. Praise him, all his angels. Praise him, all his heavenly hosts. Praise him, sun and moon. Praise him, all you shining stars. Praise him, you highest heavens, and you waters above the skies. Let them praise the name of the Lord, for at his command they were created, and he established them forever and ever. He issued a decree that will never pass away. Praise the Lord from the earth. You great sea creatures in all ocean depths, lightning and hail, snow and clouds, stormy winds that do his bidding. You mountains and all hills, fruit trees and all cedars, wild animals and all cattle, small creatures and flying birds. Kings of the earth and all nations, you princes and all rulers on earth, young men and women, old men and children, let them praise the name of the Lord. Guys, again, remember, just ignore people. Ignore people who come in here to cause problems, okay? Don't pay attention to them. Let them shout themselves hoarse. Let them get bored and move on. This is for us. We are all gathered here today to speak with God, to sit with God, to talk here, right? Everyone here, please pray for this young woman with love, and we will pray for you as well. You're focusing on, that's what we're here to do. This is a sermon. Please sit quietly and be kind and be courteous. All questions will be answered at the end. So now that we've had our Psalm 148, it's relevant. We're going to get into that later. And here we are with our collect of the day. Almighty God in heaven, who made us who we are for express purposes and goals, who makes no mistake in how one's roots cause their branches to grow and their flowers to bloom, gather us here under the shelter of your love and remind us this June just how joyful and proud we should be to be made in your image and held so dear to your heart. Amen. So, we are in June, as I said, and that is really important because what is June? June is Pride Month. And so that's why I have these crystals over here in that rainbow, where I had to remember my Roy G. Biv. But we're here to talk about Pride Month. And now just as many people are often confused about Christian witchcraft, so too are they also confused about homosexuality, right? They're often confused about what the Bible really says about that and, what we should be doing with actual sexuality, right? So with that said, our first reading of the day is one that has made many people uncomfortable, but it's one that we should take a look at, right? It's one that we should not turn away from and not try to pretend doesn't exist. Jackson, save that question for the end. Thank you, though. Right? So this is a first reading from the book of Leviticus, and it's one single verse, and it is 18:22. And it goes like this. Do not have relations with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable. Boy, that's a loaded verse. That has been used many, many ways. And if you guys, feel comfortable doing so, I would love to know if you would write in the comments what you feel when you hear that verse. What do you feel when you hear Leviticus 18:22? What associations or memories do you have with this verse? What do you think about it? What have you heard about it? All that kind of stuff. In the meantime, I'm going to ask God what he thinks. Though frankly, I kind of know what God thinks. Because he's already told us. Remember worrying about my best friend going to hell as a young woman? Yeah. Because a lot of us have been told that what this verse is talking about is homosexuality, when it's not really what it is. Describing a man and woman relationship. Okay. What's the verse again? It's Leviticus 18:22, right? That's that famous clobber verse against, people who are not straight. Most religious, yeah. I mean, yeah, and this is kind of one of the problems of this thing, right? Is that a lot of people are told that the people they love, that they know are good people, that they know are lovely, wonderful people, are going to burn eternally and suffer eternally for things they can't really control. Awful. I feel like Leviticus is saying that because it's him saying that, not God. By him, do you mean the writer of the book? I've read the original translation, may have been about an adult with a child. Okay. If I recall, the original Hebrew text says child, not man. Why call yourself a Christian? Because I'm a Christian. But okay, so Let's see what God says about it. And then I'll tell you what I have learned about it. So God gives us the Six of Cups, right? Don't know why you think I don't believe in the Bible, but since y'all can't behave. Six of Cups. Six of Cups is one that has to do with nostalgia, with older times. So, Six of Cups is an offering of the sweet side of life. If it's finding you, don't be surprised if you find yourself glowing and embracing life with a childlike enthusiasm. Six of Cups brings opportunities of reconnecting to the playful aspects of yourself, as well as finding new activities and fun opportunities that you haven't experienced before. Inner child quality, bringing excitement and love. Many adults are often struck by how kind and loving children are with one another. There's a purity and loving attitude that can grow cynical with age. Now is a wonderful time to find this again and to reach that place of pure love within yourself. Allow it to spill out of you and greet other people from this space. Dang. I also could, suggest reconnect, nostalgia, other things like that. So, not to have no. So hold on, let's all focus for a second, right? So with Six of Cups, we're talking about pure love, childlike love, innocent love, love that is known before we are taught a lot of shit by the world, right? So a lot of us come into this world and we see the kids right now, right? All of them are like, why do people have coming out like drama? Like I remember seeing a video about a mom telling her kids about how people would come out because they're afraid of how their family would receive them, and the children are like, who cares? What does that matter? Why does it matter with who someone loves and who they're attracted to? What is this, right? Like, children have such a pure outlook on the world. People are people. They don't know to really be awful to people unless you show them to be awful to people, right? And so, with this, God is saying, come back to that mindset. Come back to that mindset before you were told that there's any text or anything that justifies being awful to other people. Right? So come back to this space where you remember what it means to just recognize another person as a person and not be bothered by what people tell you should be bothered by. And I think that's a beautiful place to start with this. So, because what that verse is actually talking about is something we just don't understand anymore in this world. Right? And what I mean by that is, if I can just come over here. Show you this book I'm reading right now called God and Anatomy, right? This book is quite revealing. Is quite revealing about some things that are going on here. I've also read some really good scholarship by actually a professor of religious and Jewish studies at Brown University, right? And so that's also kind of talking about this verse specifically. Do not have relations with man as one does with woman. This is actually an idiom. This is actually an idiom in a certain specific cultural context in Judaism at that time specifically. So what this verse is actually saying is that men should not be topped, actually. So that's kind of the be-all, end-all of this, is that back in the day, and we learn about that also from this book too, not just Jewish society, Israelite society, but all surrounding cultures, Assyrians, Akkadians, Sumerians, Babylonians, they had this idea, and this is also a Roman idea, but they had this idea that men were at the very, very top of the social hierarchy. And so they had an active role in, like, marriage and stuff, right? And women had a passive, receptive role, and that should never be crossed. So it's not just about, like, these kinds of relations, between two people of the same gender. There's no prohibition here for this kind of contact between two women. It's only about men, because men should never be the one in that passive, receiving role. This was across all these different cultures. And it gets ugly in some of these other cultures, right? Like, so here's Leviticus saying, oh, they'll be put to death, but in other cultures, they would be actually brutally abused, and then castrated, and then cast out. This is something that every culture at the time shared because men were so high on the social hierarchy because of that patriarchal system values in this area at this time. And this is where I bring up the Romans, because the Romans had a slightly more lax idea, and so did other cultures, but the Romans we know them to act on it a little bit more, and that's that pederasty, right? That's that usually an older, high-ranking man and a young slave, a young boy. If it's a man who is younger or of a different social class, it's still not the best, but it's not suddenly worthy of, like, punishment. That's how it worked back then. That's, like, how it was, right? So we don't have that today. Just as back then, they didn't have this concept of sexuality. Like, no one was walking around just in a happy, loving, consenting relationship with someone of the same gender, because the family unit was not just something that you do for haha, yay, love and giggles, right? There was love involved, but for the most part, it was a social contract. It was something that would build a family unit, which was of immense socio, political, and economic power in these ancient societies. And so it wasn't the same at all. And so we can't look at that and say, oh, they're talking about, like, two consenting adults in a loving, happy relationship, because that's not what they were talking about. In fact, what people don't realize is that this kind of idea also applies to straight couples. There are certain positions that women were highly discouraged to be in, right? The idea that men, according to this book, would lose their manly power if a woman was on top. This is where these ideas come from. And this is where it's like, you know, these are also pagan ideals. For all that people say we need to be separated from the world and cast off these pagan ways, this kind of hurt and, weird hierarchical distinction between genders and all these other things is a very old school pagan ideal. Comes from every single culture that was not Judaism as much as it does any Jewish value, which Jewish values don't really hold this either. Not anymore. You don't see modern Jewish people going around with this idea. You just don't. So, that's that. And that's why God says to us with that Six of Cups, come back to a blank slate, that childish wonder, that childish love, right? So, again, we've got folks here who want to be rude, bad, and not come from that childish love, that blank slate place, right? But anyway, so maybe we can breathe a little bit easier knowing that actually, no, that verse has nothing to do with just the rainbow folk, right? Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with upholding a weird patriarchal hierarchy system of genders that we don't even have anymore. That we don't need anymore. Doesn't matter, right? So, we're talking about Leviticus 18:22 here. But anyway, so moving on now, I would also like to bring your attention, questions at the end, guys. We're in the middle of a sermon right now. Again, if you wouldn't come to church and start shouting and going crazy, don't do it here. But second reading now actually comes from the Gospel according to Matthew, and this is chapter 8, verses 5 through 13. And it goes like this. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. "Lord," he said, "my servant lies at home, paralyzed, suffering terribly." Jesus said to him, "Shall I come heal him?" The centurion replied, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, 'Go,' and he goes. I tell that one, 'Come,' and he comes. I say to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed, and said to those following him, "Truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west, and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where they will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Then Jesus said to the centurion, "Go, let it be done to you just as you believed it would." And his servant was healed at that moment. So, this is an important passage. I bring it up for a reason, right? And first I'm going to ask God, what do you think about this? What do you think about this situation here? What's going on with the centurion in the context of everything we're talking about today, outside of it? What's up? We got another Cups card. We have the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups is fun. Knight of Cups is pretty tricky. A lot of the Knight cards have this kind of duality to them. So, Knight of Cups, at least it's not reversed. If it were reversed, that would be bad, but let's read what it says here. Oh, and actually, specifically, this says Knight, but this deck is also fun too, right? The Bible says, blah, 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 blah. Good thing I'm not doing what the Bible talks about. Goodbye. Anyway, so this actually says Conqueror of Cups, and you'll notice that other ones say, like, Sovereign, Ruler. This is actually a gender-neutral deck, and so if you guys wanted to check out Threads of Fate's The Weaver Tarot, this doesn't have the Empress, Emperor. You know, this is actually fully gender-neutral, which is really cool. But, so, this is the Conqueror of Cups, and it says, brings rapid movement to our emotions. Ready to move forward with action as opposed to dreaming about it. Heart-centered and leading with feeling, which isn't a bad thing, but is something to check in on once in a while. Cards could also represent a new lover, or a situation too good to let go of, addicting roller coaster, hard to get off. There is an out-of-control element to this card where the good feels so good that any negative pales in comparison. Conqueror of Cups carries some illusions, so keep your head on your shoulders. Feelings are powerful and get things done, but if we are not also viewing the situation from an unbiased place with logic, we can walk a long ways down a path that isn't our best option. This card isn't a hard warning or stop sign, but be mindful and go slow. That's insane, because that kind of leads directly into what else I was going to say, which is just wild. Also, like, we've got Christians being truly traditionally Christian, and by that I mean just being kind of mean to people. But how are you Christian when you're practicing divination? Because divination's commanded by God in the Bible. Anyway. So, this is really funny that this exact message comes up, right? That, hey, yeah, feelings are great, and we sure do love the spirit, but keep your facts in check. Because what I'm about to tell you about this verse is that a lot of people use this part, right, with Jesus and the centurion to say, look, see, Jesus is totally fine with, the rainbow folk, and as far as I'm concerned, he's fine with any other folk. When I spoke to Jesus, he really was like, what is there to say about LGBTQ folk? They're people. Okay. He doesn't really have any special consideration. He's annoyed that people are awful to them, but, there's never a time in the Bible where he says anything for or against it, because it wasn't really, first of all, wasn't really how people thought of this at the time, but also, second of all, wasn't really that important either, right? Like, people love who they love, and that's really all there is to it. So, with this, though, a lot of people bring this up, and they say that, well, yeah, the centurion, obviously that servant he's talking about, was one of those kind of, like, pederastic relationships as well, like the centurion and his young slave boy that he obviously had some kind of romantic relationship with, because they used the word pace, which, in socio-political context, could have implied that kind of relationship. The thing is, though, no, it doesn't necessarily mean that. However, what is interesting, and I think what is worth considering, is that there is a possibility that it could have been that still. None of this passage or context necessarily means that that's what was exactly going on. It's not confirmed, it's not anything, but there is always a possibility. And so one interpretation that was really interesting to me was that, this centurion goes up to someone of a different ethnicity, of a different religion, of a different cultural values, who really don't believe in this pederasty thing at all, and he knows how the word pace might sound to people, even if that's not what he's doing. He knows how it might sound, and he knows that he might get people making assumptions, but he doesn't care. His first priority is taking care of that boy, and saying, hey, he's sick, he needs help. Please help him. And this Jewish man that he goes to ask could potentially be really vitriolic, could potentially assume all kinds of things, could potentially be really rude about it. But he doesn't. Instead, he commends that man for his faith and says, wow, even my own people, who are said to be inheritors of the kingdom, have not had faith like this, have not shown humility like this, have not put themselves out there and taken that leap of faith like this, that risk like this. So Jesus is focusing more on that, right? And first of all, also that this man has love and care and consideration for another person. These are the things that are important. It doesn't really matter, honestly, if that man and that servant had any of that kind of relationship or not. And Jesus absolutely makes that clear here. He says, could have been, but also couldn't have been, but also doesn't matter. Because what matters is that I see that you love this servant. I see that you want this servant healed. I see that you believe, and you put all your faith in what will help him. That's incredible. That's the stuff that matters. Not whether or not this and that and up and down. We don't need to justify who we are, what we love, what we do. What we need to do is focus on love, on loving one another, on loving our neighbor, on loving God, on acting out of consideration on behalf of other people to keep them safe, to help them, to heal them. This is what we need. This is what we need to be focusing on. And all of these things about, oh, well, but the Bible says this and the Bible says that, when people are actually just quoting things completely out of context with no understanding of politics, of sociocultural situations, of hierarchical structures in the society, patriarchy, anything like that, all you do is get yourself distracted from what really matters. All you do is get in your own way and stumble over yourself. There's no reason to really sit here and pick it apart and say, well, is it bad? Is it good? God is not wasting his time caring about who you decide to fuse with into one flesh. If you want to go ahead and marry someone you really love, the last thing God gives two hot dams about is their gender. God doesn't care. And this is where I'm going to remind you of that psalm we read in the beginning, Psalm 148. God made all of creation, and all of creation praises God's name. And God sure as hell did not make everything all like male, female, working out the way we intend to. Hell, he didn't even make people really that way. Right? When we have intersex folks, when we have trans folks, we have LGBTQ folks, we are a reflection not only of God, but of also God's creation. Look at how the clownfish can go from a female to a male when the male is gone. Look at how seahorses, the dad carries the babies. Look at how in penguins, there are LGBTQ penguins. There are two boy penguins in a relationship who actually take in abandoned eggs and raise those penguins as their own. They're there to take the babies that the mother, the man and woman penguins did not want. There are functions, there are purposes, there are wonderful, wonderful places for all of the spectrum of sexuality and gender expression in society. God shows us that all out in nature, and he shows us that also in ourselves. We are the only species that has a problem with this. We're the only species that makes a big deal about this. That is unnatural. I'll tattoo LGBTQ penguins. Yeah, like, God basically paints the reality in all of these things. And, it's very, very silly when people say, oh, you can't say that because we're not animals. Meanwhile, Paul's out here trying to say that women should have long hair because look at nature, all the men don't have long hair. Which was not even a correct argument, but God bless you, Paul, but you were saying some interesting things, my man. Nonetheless, this is from you, not God. Nope, this is God. We just asked. We just talked about it. But, yeah, so when we keep that in mind, that God doesn't miss, that God doesn't make mistakes, that God makes everyone how they are, and that the most wonderful way you can love yourself and love God is by fully embodying the perfect way he made you, we can get way past this nonsense, bad faith, garbage reading of Leviticus 18:22, right? So, for folks who are coming in and who are still stuck in the vines and weeds of legalism and missing the point of this religion, God bless you. I hope that one day you can open that heart up and see the truth. Until then, we're going to keep trucking. But our third reading now comes actually from Paul, the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians. And this is 13:4-8. And it goes like this. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. Right? Honestly, Paul is like a controversial figure. I personally love Paul, and I think that some of his words about love and things like that are some of the greatest things. Like, I think that Paul was so spot on about so many things. Was he right 100% of the time? No. But was he so on the money in times like these? Yeah. Sometimes he just went off, and it was just like, okay, babe. Yeah. Hell yeah. Right? But, and that's an important thing, right? We're talking about love. One of the biggest things about Pride Month that you'll see, love is love. Love wins. And that's where that end part's really important. Where there are prophecies, they'll cease. Where there are tongues, they'll be stilled. Where there's knowledge, it'll pass away. But love never fails. Love is the thing that will not pass away. Love is the thing that will keep us going. And so when we have this Pride Month, what we're really taking pride in is our ability to love. And our ability to understand that love transcends silly human boundaries like gender and all this other nonsense, right? And as you can see, people get really worked up in these comments when they realize that maybe all the rules they've been taught to follow so faithfully aren't really as important as the one simple command Jesus gave us. That maybe God speaks more through the people they think he shouldn't or wouldn't than he does directly to them. Sorry, God, if that was a little catty. God, what do you think about this? We have our third cup card of the day. And this is the Seeker, or the Page. Traditionally, this is the Page, but this is the Seeker of Cups. I really like the imagery here. We've got hands with a cup. And this big wishbone. This big wishbone, like we're doing, some kind of great wish that we're holding up. The cups are great. I personally am not super fan of cups because they're always about icky feelings, and I'm not an icky feeling person. I like coins because when I get a coins card, unless it's the 5 of coins, put the 5 of coins in the garbage. But if I get a coins card, I'm like, oh hell yeah, right? So, but okay. So the Page of Cups brings creativity, dreaming, formless, raw energy, youth, impulses, the strange and bizarre. You're being invited to explore, be curious and creative. It is in our relationship with life that we draw inspiration. How are you tending to that relationship? Do you meet the world with rigid thinking or an answer for everything? The Seeker of Cups asks you to throw away preconceptions, especially about yourself and your feelings, and explore. Be open to anything new. Sometimes the energy associated with the Seeker of Cups can create discomfort in others. Not God backing up my petty. Oh my God. Because so much of the Seeker lives in the unseen. The Seeker is comfortable living in this formless space, but many do not enjoy this. Answers are not often found here, but questions are, which are just as helpful. If this represents a situation, it may be confusing and foggy. Surrender to it for now and wait for information to be revealed. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So this card, yeah, this is all about, like, the pages especially are about that childlike wonder the most. The pages are like the youngsters of the suit cards. And so they are the ones that are about, like, trying new things, being excited, starting again, right? And so here, it's really funny that God says, why are you thinking so rigidly? Why are you thinking in such black and white terms? Why are you having such problems breaking out of these rigid boxes, right? And so as you can see, we have a lot of people in here who are really could benefit from a Page of Cups perspective. And so obviously right here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to protect the space as much as possible. Remember, as I said, don't engage with these people. These people are exactly the kind of people we're here to remind you to not be like. Because these kinds of people are the kinds of people that would prefer to try and hold themselves to some horrible standards, some impossible standards, so that they can lord it over other people, so that they can use it like a club and beat other people. This is why these verses are called clobber verses against the LGBTQ. God is reminding us to stay open, to stay innocent, to stay ready to look at the world from a place of just blank slate love. When children come into this world, they come into the world in love, blank slate, know nothing other than what you teach them. And here, we are not here to be taught hate. We are not here to be taught legalism and all of these different traps and things that people get tied up in that make them forget to view other people as humans, right? That's the problem with legalism. You get so tied up in how well you follow the rules that when you see someone following them not perfectly like you think you are, suddenly you think it's okay to dehumanize them, to demean them, to hurt them, to hurl insults, to even kill them. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that in our second reading, Jesus says there will be much weeping and gnashing of teeth for. Right? All these people saying, but I am a son of Abraham, I am a son of Abraham, I'm going to get the kingdom. Jesus says, no, the fuck you're not. Not if you keep acting like that. Jesus was not about this shit either. There was not a moment where Jesus was like, yeah, it's totally fine to act like this. Half the time he spent yelling about being too rich and how that sucks. The other half the time he spent yelling about exactly the kind of legalistic people who would put law before human. You know? Nope. What the fuck? Hold on. I'm not gonna say anything about this one, but I am gonna screenshot that because that's. We'll put that away for later. Anyway, um, sorry, Gabby. I know you've had your moments in the past. I'm gonna maybe. None of that here. Anyway, um, so sorry for that pause. I was just a little bewildered, but that's for another time. That's not for right now. Anyway, so all of that to say, right, that yes, we are not. It reminds me of other things. Another thing that just popped into my head is I've got this picture of Jesus here next to me. Jesus said that, mankind was not made for Sabbath, Sabbath was made for mankind. Likewise, right? Like we have some rules and boundaries, not we weren't made for these rules. These rules were made to help us. These rules were made to help us establish connection with God. And for the most part, Jesus says all of the rules, all of the law hangs on love God, love one another. If you're not doing these things, you're not doing it right. That's all there is to it. How can you reconcile witchcraft with the Bible? We'll talk about this more after. I have a book on it you can check out if you'd like. But regroup, refocus, focus. Got a little distracted, being like, huh? But anyway, so great. Now comes that time, though. That is our last reading, that is our last card pull, and here we are to get into the final part of this sermon, and that is the prayers. And this is also a time where I would invite you all to come sit with me, come, do our bit of sharing of peace. So if we were in a normal church setting, this might be the time where you kind of look at each other, you say, peace be with you. Okay, right? But since we're all here in a virtual space, we can't really do that. So what I would like you guys to do instead is pray for other people who are in this live to experience that kind of peace, right? So say your prayers here for everyone. We've got maybe 74 people or so in here, and I will do as well. All right. You would type peace in the comments when you're done. Let me know you're participating in that, and thank you guys so much for participating in that with me. I very much appreciate it. And once we are all wrapped up with that, we can get going. Oh, another thing, right? So this is also the time where people would kind of pop tithe baskets by. So if you wanted to donate to a church or something, they have the baskets as they come by. If you've ever been to like an Episcopal or a Catholic service, you don't have to obviously donate anything to this live right now. However, I would invite you to think about what you could sacrifice today for God. Is it maybe an hour of your time to spend meditating with Him, praying, reading the Bible? Is it maybe an act of kindness done for other people today? Is it maybe some food or clothing that you don't need anymore that you can donate to local food banks or local, secondhand shops or anything like that? Is it maybe, volunteering or anything like that? Is it just, spending time with your loved ones and reminding them of how much you love them? What can you offer out of the goodness of your heart? That's what I would like you to think about today for your tithe. But okay, so once we've done all of that, here we are in this sacred space. And we're going to focus on three saints that actually, really interestingly, have a lot of importance among the LGBTQ community. Can I offer them a candle? Yeah, yeah. Anoint a candle or maybe just burn a candle, and focus on that. But I'm sick, so I'm resting. That's fair. Your tithe today, Yarn Rogue, is to treat yourself with kindness. Do an act of kindness for yourself. But okay, so we have these three saints that are actually very important to the LGBTQ community, which really surprised me. But there's even an entire website. It's called qspirit.net. qspirit.net has a lot of interesting lore on like saints and stuff that are really important to the LGBTQ community. So those three saints here are Saint Aelred of England, Saint Sebastian, and Saints Perpetua and Felicity, which is really, really interesting. So I'm going to pop these open so we can kind of take a look together. So Saint Sebastian, to get that out of the way, isn't one that was ever like explicitly or said to be queer in any way. It's just that for some reason a lot of people really took to the symbolism of him, just kind of strapped there full of arrows in a lot of LGBTQ art. And so he's become this page says Saint Sebastian, history's first gay icon. But there's a lot of contemporary art, like Saint Sebastian surrounded by the pink triangles, right? The arrows, being martyred for all these kinds of things. They really grew attached to this saint. And so, here's the thing, right? I don't think that a saint has to actually be queer in any way for them to be a champion of the queer community, right? And in this case, Saint Sebastian, he is alive and he knows how important he is to the queer community. And so for that reason, I am homebrewing quite a few prayers today, and pretty much all of them, honestly. And we're going to start with Saint Sebastian's. Saint Anthony's feast day today? It is? Oh shit, I did not know that. Well, here we are on Saint Anthony's feast day as well, but we're going to pray to Saint Sebastian, that for all the things, for him to connect us with God and so on. But before we do, we're going to, one more time, kind of get in the zone. And here we go, right? As we pray, let's lift up our hearts. We lift them up to the Lord. And now I invite you to say the Lord's Prayer with me, right? So if you know the Lord's Prayer, by all means, join along. Otherwise, I'm just going to say it here. And here we go. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. And God, one more message from God before we ask the saints for their intercession. I wonder if this is another cup card. I feel like it's not, but... Yep. Okay. I was right. It is not. It is 5 of Swords reversed. Okay, so 5 of Swords usually is like a card of insane struggle. Just to the point that like something we're fighting for is no longer worth it when it's upside down. It is reaching a place of exhaustion after conflict. Tension is so draining that this period offers us grace and perspective. When we finally reach exhaustion, we can see that maybe what we're pushing for doesn't matter so much and that there are other solutions. The 5 of Swords reversed ushers in the space where we put aside our ego and meet the situation in a different way. That's one of them little take-home messages. That's God being like, hey y'all, right? This whole fight we have every day, every year, honestly, or especially every June, there's no need to repeat this. There's no need to hash this out again. We're all missing the point when we start hashing this out, when we start trying to justify, well, no, it's okay. If it's not okay, it's a, no. The whole conversation doesn't need to happen because it misses the point. The point is, let people live. Support them, love them, care for them. The end. What are we doing here? What are we doing right now with all of this? Wait, but I have to prove that it's good. No, you don't. You don't have to prove that it's good. You don't have to prove that it's bad. The LGBT community, there's no good or bad here. They're people. And like all people, they will be a beautiful twilight mix of both. Right? That's how all of us are. The second we get tangled up in, well, I'm better because of some inherent characteristic that I had no control over, get you people with that mindset are in this space. We're trying to get here. We're trying to get here. We're trying to get past that hump, get out of that. Right? And so, as we can see, as I keep muting people who so desperately want to be in this space, I'm in this space. I'm not fighting with people. Neither should you be. I'm not arguing with people. I'm not trying to I myself am bisexual. I'm not justifying my existence to anybody. Fuck that. Nope. I'm not trying to tell people actually it's totally fine. No. No. I am who I am. And you know who else says that in the Bible? God. God looks at Moses and says, I am who I am. And so if you're a child of God, you too. You say, I am who I am. God made me who I am. This is me. You don't like that? Oh, fucking well. When it comes to things we can change, right? How we engage with other people, how we cast, our sights in the world, how we conduct ourselves, by all means, try to be your best. When it comes to things you cannot change, like or control, your sexuality, your skin color, your gender, you are who you are. I am who I am. There's no need. There's no need to justify this to anybody. Not a single ounce. Anyway, all that aside, that was a little spicy. That got me a little fired up. Oops. But now I would like to kind of pass that torch on to these wonderful saints. So I already told you a bit about Saint Sebastian. He was martyred. They literally tied him to a post. They shot him full of arrows. He lived. And not only did he live, I'm pretty sure he's the one that then found the Roman governor that had him sentenced like that the next day and yelled at him in the street. And that Roman governor was like, oh my god, how are you alive? Are you a ghost? Right? So that guy was freaking out, but then they caught him again and they put him to death again. And this time he actually did die. So there's that. But God healed him of his injuries the first time so he could go and yell at that governor. Nonetheless, he's, because of his, like, just the way that he died, right? Basically all but naked, full of arrows, kind of abandoned. He's become such a queer icon. And he knows that he is a queer icon. So let us together make a prayer to Saint Sebastian, that he might look out for us, remind us to be strong, right? To even when we are attacked and beaten down, to speak for what's right. So, God our Father, you gave us Saint Sebastian to teach us what it looks like to suffer under pain of death and get back up and shout that evil down. His martyrdom does not go unnoticed, it does not go unanswered for either. His martyrdom is something that, while we shouldn't necessarily aspire to, because we should always preserve ourselves and the life you've given us, it does remind us that there is truth that matters more than this bodily life. And we thank you, God, for giving us Saint Sebastian to show us that. Dear Saint Sebastian, you who know what an icon you are among the queer community, you who know that those who are hurting the most, speared by the words of man, that they come to you looking for this comfort. Pray for us that we might learn that no arrow is strong enough to pierce truth. Pray for us that we stay strong and that we learn to rise again even when our detractors try and bury us. Saint Sebastian, pray for our protection, for our encouragement, for our confidence, that we may forever walk in the light of the Lord. Amen. Damn. Oh, homebrewing is crazy. I did not say Saint Sebastian was gay. I did say that he is a gay icon, as in the queer community loves Saint Sebastian. But so Saint Sebastian is wild. Oh, here we go. In fact, as I was saying all that, this is a little bibliomantic here, but Sebastian is a major recurring subject in the work of queer British artist Tony O'Connell. Sebastian became a subversive object of devotion for lots of queer artists and LGBTQ people who are often rejected or abused by religious hierarchies. So that's why there's that association, right? A lot of people see in themselves Saint Sebastian, who was martyred at the hands of a different religion, a different government, right? So another one we have though is Saint Aelred of Rievaulx. Rievaulx? I think that's how I say that city. This is the gay saint of friendship. And so once again, it's not ever like necessarily confirmed. Like Saint Aelred never goes around saying I'm gay, but what he does do is seriously value the friendship between him and other men, right? And there's something to be said about homosocial relationships, and in fact, this book talks a little bit about it too. But you know, the homosexual relationships are different from homosocial relationships. One of the biggest homosocial relationships in the Bible is David and Jonathan, and also Naomi and Ruth. These aren't necessarily, again, sexual because that wasn't really a thing back then, but they're definitely social, possibly even romantic. Definitely social, right? And so the English abbot's own deep friendships with men are described in the classic book Christianity, Social Tolerance, and Homosexuality by Yale history professor John Boswell. It was St. Aelred of Rievaulx who gave love between those of the same gender its most profound and lasting expression in a Christian context. There can be little question that Aelred was gay and that his erotic attraction to men was a dominant force in his life. So again, does Aelred ever outright say this? Nope. I don't think so. But he definitely seems to be hinting at it quite a bit if a Yale professor's like, nope, that man gay. You know? So, okay, hey, shit, right? So he wrote a treatise called On Spiritual Friendship, around like the 1150s. It's still one of the best theological statements on the connection between human love and spiritual love. God is friendship. He who abides in friendship abides in God, and God in him. He wrote, paraphrasing 1 John 4:16. So, okay. So you've got someone who's taking that whole idea of men can't be together that we saw like way back in those ancient, Southwest Asian cultures and saying, but love and friendship is good. And specifically, like, all kinds of love are good. So let us pray to St. Aelred that we can remember that. Here we go. Dear God, you sent St. Aelred to remind us of what glorious value there is in love of all kinds. In spiritual love, in friendly love, romantic love, and even love of a, trying to keep it safe for TikTok, marriageable aspect, right? So all of this love God we are reminded of in St. Aelred, who spoke at such length about the values of all these things and who shared his love with all, and especially with other men he surrounded himself with. Thank you for showing us and reminding us again what you said in your scriptures about love, about friendship, and thank you for exemplifying it here in St. Aelred. And to St. Aelred, please pray for our intercession, please pray for us, that we remember that there is no love that can ever be dirty, no love that can ever be sinful, no love that can ever be toxic, painful, bad. When we have love of the genuine kind, one that does not seek to abuse, to hurt, to take advantage of, we know that we walk in the sight of God. St. Aelred, pray for us, and pray especially for the LGBTQ community as they try to practice this beautiful expression of love, no matter what they face in the waking world. Amen. Two guys literally lovers, historians, they're close friends. Yeah. Things taught by demons? This one isn't taught by demons. I've got other things taught by demons that we could talk about later. But okay, so our last ones are Perpetua and Felicity, patron saints of same-sex couples, early Christian martyrs, and friends to the end. This is definitely a they were roommates one. Like, this is definitely a historians being some little goofy goobers with this one, but like, what I'll get into it. So basically, these two are 3rd century North African paired saints who were executed together for their Christian faith. Some consider them lesbian saints or patrons of same-sex couples. Transgender people also draw inspiration from Perpetua because she had a queer vision of being transformed into a man. They were arrested for being Christian, imprisoned together, and kissed each other in the last moments before they were both put to death in the so-called Games of Public Arena in Carthage on March 7th, 203 AD. So they both have the same feast day of March 7th. And, they have this extraordinary faith, courage in the face of death. And a lot of people do believe that, they had some kind of serious relationship, whether it be romantic or sexual, whether it be platonic. It doesn't really matter. What matters is they were together, they loved each other deeply, and they spoke truth to the end, right? And so, with that said, let us also pray to Saint Perpetua and Saint Felicity that we might be not only comforted, but a comfort to our loved ones, right? It's giving the lovers. I was thinking that too. But so, God, thank you for sending us Saint Felicity and Saint Perpetua. Through them, we learned that courage is unbreakable so long as we stand in truth and so long as we have another to stand with us in that truth. Saint Perpetua and Saint Felicity showed their incredible bravery, their dedication to you and your son, and also their commitment to supporting each other right up until their last moments. May we be so blessed to remember their strength and courage and carry it with us. And Saint Perpetua and Felicity pray for us that we might always stand strong in truth and in love, that no matter what threats we may come under, no matter what vitriol people throw our way, we understand the straight and narrow path, a path of love that is difficult to walk in a world so full of poison. Pray for us that we never forget these rules of love, that we never forget the love we share with our comrades, that we never forget to take the hand of those around us and walk forward. Pray for the LGBTQ community, that we might forever stay true to who we are and what we were made to be, and that we can walk forward in God's grace forevermore. Amen. And that is that. Our work is now done. Let us be restored, knowing that we are who we are, that we are God's children, that God made us the way we are for a reason, and that every day we present a chance to people to walk in the love God commanded us to walk in. And it is not our burden, our fault, or anything like that if others fail to respond to that light. Let it be so. May it be so. Fiat, 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 and thanks be. Alright, that was a big one. That was a tough one. This is a topic I don't normally talk about, right? I'm always focused on the Christian witchcraft aspect, but sometimes we gotta talk about other things that people kind of take out of context for the sake of hurting other people too. Like, the LGBTQ community, like queerness and all these other things. Queerness is a beautiful thing. Queerness is a God ordained thing. It is a good thing. And we should remember that. But now that we're done, I would love if you guys would tell me what you feel about this, like how this made you feel, if you were like concerned about the start with Leviticus 18:22 and all the other things after. I would love to know your thoughts. Did you do an interview with Asher? I already did. It's in my interview with the Gods profile playlist there. Hey Angel, I'm glad that you enjoyed that. Learned a lot. Good. Because, yeah, I was looking all this up last night because I'm like, I know there's actually a book called God and the Gay Christian that talks a lot about all this. I think that's a pretty good one-stop shop for learning about these things. For me, I just kind of like between this book, some other stuff that I read, other papers, other articles, other things like that. It was very good. Haven't eaten, yes, I'm hungry. Hey, go get yourself some food. I had to eat before I did this because I've been kind of running around doing stuff all day. Oh my goodness, it is late, and I'm eventually going to have to do some more stuff today. Ugh. So much work. So much work. Usually I take a break in the middle of the day these days. Like I take a break. Lately I've also been really enjoying coloring. Hold on. I got myself some new markers from Walmart, and it's just been like my entire thing lately to just go color stuff. Am I like five? Maybe, but I've just been having a lot of fun coloring, and so I'll take a break in the middle of the day to just like put YouTube on and then like color something. I'm working on this one right now. And so like I'm kind of treating it like the way these markers came in. Sorry, I'm just like going off about this. But the way these markers came, they like all are organized by color. So I'm like, what if I made like a color palette challenge and I only use the colors in one tray at a time? You know? So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But what does God think about hypersexuality? I hate having it. I mean, I feel like this is not really a question for the situation. I feel like if we're having issues with hypersexuality, as you call it, and as from what I understand about it, this is more something that you should really take to a therapist. This is something that someone with like a licensed, clinical degree or qualification should be speaking to you about. As far as I'm concerned, God holds grace and space for people who are struggling with all these kinds of things, but it's not really my place to tell you this, that, or the other thing when this sounds like a personal struggle that you should be working through with a professional who's not going to say something that's messed up. As much as I have good intentions, I'm not a professional, and if I say something that isn't like helpful or good, I don't want to be responsible for any more damage or harm. Um, oh, I like anime. Thank you so much. I'm glad that means a lot to me that you feel comfortable and enjoy praying, in this space. How can I astral project? See, I don't really do that kind of astral projection thing, so I wouldn't know. I just kind of meditate, and do what I do. I don't really bother with the projection. I don't know if what I do is even the same thing as it or not. So drawing a blank on that one. Um, what advice do you have for someone who feels led to work with saints but was not raised Catholic? No, Angel had a really great, words are leaving my head, but Angel had a great, advice, which is start with Mary. Mary, pray the Hail Mary, right? Maybe get a rosary, things like that. Mary's a great one. I would also think about what it is that you want to work on, and then find the patron saint of those things. Like if you want to focus on, uh, if you want to focus on like being nice to animals and being nice to everyone, Saint Francis of Assisi, all these kinds of ones. If you want to focus on justice, maybe Saint Olga of Kiev. I don't know. Is it okay to work with God? Is it okay with God to work with Lucifer? If he says you can. Um, what are demons like? The actual demons, like genuine demons, are difficult. They are not interested in how you feel or what you want. They are interested in kind of like poking at you like a chicken pokes at another bird that has a little blood spot on it, right? The kings and presidents and princes of hell are not really demons in the sense that most people realize. They are infernal, but not necessarily these kinds of demons. They're more like the actual demons are more like fairies that are just consistently bent negatively. Yeah, and angels can be hard to work with too. Angels are like the opposite direction, where they're always really trying to get you to improve yourself, even if it means you're gonna lose your mind, because they just keep pushing, you know? Orphan says homosexuality was because sin entered the garden. No. No, no, that has nothing to do with it. In fact, when all these things were written down, homosexuality wasn't a concept the way it is now, so. Demons is chicken. Yeah, you know how chickens, like, yeah, they're cute and you can kind of make them make things for you and stuff, and you could put them in a coop and give them things and very nice and cute. But also, they will, if they find even a little bit of blood, they will peck the shit out of you. They will peck things clean. I've heard stories of a little mouse happened to accidentally jump in the middle of that chicken pen, and all of a sudden all the chickens swarmed it, and what was left was just a pile of bones. Terrifying. But Oh my god, yeah, Archangel Michael at the gym. I will always call on Michael to help me out if I'm being a little wah wah about my workout. Archangel Chamuel. Ooh, Chamuel is really cool too. Can people be saints in this generation? So everyone's gonna become a saint. Like that's kind of like how that works, old school Catholicism style. After like a year after your death, you become a saint. So also, if you're talking about like when's the last time anyone was sainted, I feel like the last one was pretty recent. Hi. Weird. Weird inviting yourself to my live. Interesting. Or maybe I did that on accident. I might have accidentally clicked something, but I don't think I did. Not sure what happened. That might have been me, but it also might have been someone else being weird. Who knows? Um, can I use regular spell books if I do Christian Witchcraft? I mean, yeah. There's no reason you couldn't. I I might have accidentally clicked on something and might have accidentally like invited someone in this live here. So that might have been me. That might have been me. But because sometimes I'm scrolling through comments and I might accidentally hit something that I didn't mean to hit. So we're just gonna, you know, what is my fantasy book about? So this is my fantasy book. I sell this on my TikTok shop, by the way, guys. If you want to get a signed copy, I'm writing the sequel. It's coming out this year. I'm very excited about it. But this is basically a story about a world where there are four countries, and these seasons are tied to each country. So the rulers of each country will actually trade thrones with each other every 3 months, going in a circle to bring winter, summer, spring, and so on. And the conflict of this story starts because winter has literally put up a wall and said, "Nope, I don't care about none of y'all anymore. You messed up my country the last go round and melted a bunch of my people. I'm locking all of you out and you can stay stuck in your seasons and I don't care." And so the Glass Witch is our main character who is sent to kind of infiltrate the Winter King's, bridal competition and try and, assassinate him so that they can get the seasons moving again. And it's a lot of fun. It's very much exploring like nationalism, exploring like eco-terrorism, exploring being of two cultures, right? I'm half American, half Slovenian. The main character's half winter, half summer. So it's very much like, who are my people? Where do I actually go? Why am I here? Very fun thing. Really enjoy. I appreciate that. And for anyone, again, it's on the TikTok shop. It's also on my website. It's also on Amazon. Ebook, paperback, all that. So I'm also going to be trying to finish up a thoughts audiobook. I recorded an audiobook. I'm a few chapters into editing it, about like a third of the way through. So cosmology and reasoning behind the weather system. So it's basically thought that like the gods kind of gave all of these lords, the succession of kings, their powers and their dominion over the seasons. Wherever the Lord of Seasons are, their season is. So no one really even knows what happens when a Lord of Season dies, because that's not really been a thing. Usually it just kind of gets passed on before the other one dies. So they're like, yeah, we need to kill the Winter King. Do we know what the consequences of that are? No, but we gotta do it. There are different gods of different places though. So like the summer country has like the sun is their god, the great dragon, this big golden sun, and then the moon is the goddess who has many other like maids of honor and stuff. There's many other wives. All the stars are wives as well. Meanwhile, spring has the great bear that kind of like made the people of spring. Which I'm sorry. Now I'm just geeking about my book, but like this is really fun where the great bear had bees and butterflies as his messengers, and some of them stayed on Earth and became the spring people. So the spring people have like those kind of butterfly wings and all this kind of like more fairy-like nature magic. Autumn is the great fox, or the old fox rather. And so that fox, they say, when it was running, it was being chased, and one of its tails got chopped off. That made the first autumn person. And then winter, their people are made of ice. They're just made of ice because their goddess was a deer who ascended, into godhood, was lonely, carved people into the thing, and then gave up her body and blood so that the winter people could have fluid movement like people, have magic, and all these other things. a game or a movie about this would be so insane. Honestly, the best I could say is like imagine if the White Walkers of Game of Thrones were like their own people with their own country, with their own customs, and yeah. No such thing as Christian, which, well, that's crazy because you're looking at one. The Lake of Fire is also where we're all going. So I'll meet you there, I guess. Anyway, the magic system. I can't really super explain it all right here, honestly. I know, like, what do I mean? I know. Like, mostly just because I feel like I gotta go soon. But in essence, magic is tied to specific deities. Not everyone has the same style of magic. So, it's very much genetic, heritage, lineage based. You know how to pray rosary beads? I do. It's definitely like a spiritual lobotomy by the time you're done, but I mean, that's kind of the point. Write a devotional of sorts. Yes. We need Christian witch devotionals. We do. Um, why does it say we can go to heaven or hell in our consciousness? I mean, the mind is a tough place. You know, your mindset is pretty much everything. But can I make a TikTok explaining it just like that? I could. Yeah, sure. I could do that. I need to post more about my book because like a lot of people know that I have my Christian Witch book, Where the Gods Left Off. Not a lot of people know about my fantasy book, which makes me sad because this is like my baby. I want to be a fantasy writer above all things, and so it always makes me a little sad when people are like, when they're super into like Where the Gods Left Off and they're super into like discovering Christian witchcraft, but then like the fantasy gets no love because my fantasy is basically like parables, right? The fantasy that I write, the books that I plan on releasing in the future, they're like metaphors for stuff that I talk about with God, for stuff that I observe and experience. So one day, one day we'll get there. One day we'll get to the point where people are all about the fantasy too. Um, okay. Yeah, no, I mean that most of my channel is for like the Christian witchcraft stuff. I still do the fantasy stuff as well. I feel like there's some paranormal horror ideas I have that after our conversation with the dragon, I feel like people are probably going to really like. I've had that idea for a while. Um, can you work with other deities for your Christian witch? Yeah. I mean, if you ask God for permission, he's fine with it. Okay. Is your book on Audible? I'm working on an audiobook right now. I'm hoping to have it done by like the end of the month slash early July-ish. But, you know, hell isn't a place, right? It's a place. It does exist. It's just not a place people go when they die, you know? Like, I've seen what people would know as hell. I've walked in it, I've seen it, I've experienced it. Some parts are really scenic and pretty, some parts really fucking suck. So it all depends, but it's not a place people go when they die. That's like that's like saying, people go to like the back of the back of a store area, the employees only area. Like people don't go to the employees only area when they die. That is not where they go. That's an employees only area for demons. It's not a place people go. It's a good way to get a yes or no from God. Couple things. Pendulum is really good. There's also an old thing from the Old Testament called Urim and Thummim. It's literally just like two different colored stones. One stone means yes, one stone means no. Ask God a question, put the stones in a bag, root around, ask him to show you his answer, pick out one, whatever one it is, there you go. Is a Christian God an egregore? We do have a concept of the evangelical egregore specifically, because the like gun-toting white Republican Jesus is sure as fuck an egregore. Like that's an egregore. That ain't Jesus. No. But the Christian God specifically, again, it depends. A lot of people are out here with the evangelical egregore. The actual God is a wild ride. I feel like it's once you learn the difference, you'll never confuse them again. Um, the dragon seems like a cool dude. The dragon was not My favorite time. I will say that. Is the Christian God the Muslim God? Yeah, I mean, the Abrahamic God is the Abrahamic God. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they all worship the same God. What dragon? Check out my latest interview with the gods episode. That is the dragon we're talking about. Can Muslims be witches? I've seen Muslim witches. I'm not Muslim myself, so I can't really speak with authority on this, but I've seen Muslim witches. It's a thing. There are some mystic elements of Islam. There are some, mystic things like that. Remember that witchcraft, as we understand it today, is not what the Bible or any other text was talking about, so. Hello, Nola. Favorite fantasy series? Oh my god, I really love The Bear and the Nightingale, the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. It's so good. It's like a Russian historical fantasy. It's so good. It's so good. More interviews with Egyptian gods? Maybe. Potentially. It depends. Right now, I'm just kind of asking God where to look and what to do, because it seems like God's got some ideas. Next time's interview is already going to be a fucking mess, and I'm not looking forward to it, but, I have not read that, but I'm assuming it's something to do with either Hinduism or Buddhism. Have you ever used a spirit board, like an Ouija board? I have one. I did try to use one once. Not very good at it. Interview Thoth. I actually already did. I already did interview Thoth. In fact, you can actually see that interview right in here. Let me find it. Oh, I think it was right after. Yay! So it was actually a double here. We got Thoth and Anubis in here. Oh, well that's fun. I did not know that about Hinduism. Reflects Western mystic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's because like a lot of Western mysticism copped a lot of stuff from like Eastern mythos. Have to get that book now. You can actually grab it on my TikTok shop or on my website shop or on Amazon. My website and Amazon have the ebook. My TikTok shop has the paperback, and so do the other two. Oh, thank you, Faye. Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of fun. I'm on episode 39 right now out of 40 for the second book. I do plan to do 3 of these in total, so that's gonna be like 150 spirits. And once I'm done with that, I would really like to make some pretty, special editions, because I think it deserves a special edition. Who would you like to interview next if you had a choice? I have done Sekhmet already. Bastet, I believe, is a version of Sekhmet, but I may be wrong about that. If I could interview anyone next, honestly, I would really like to interview more Eastern deities. It's just that, like, I can't bring myself to insert myself into systems that have nothing to do with me. Like, when I interviewed Amida Buddha, Kuan Yin, Princess Bari, I had help from someone who's actually from these systems. Like, Princess Bari is a Korean goddess of Korean shamanism. I had someone who practices Korean shamanism show me and like guide me and intercede for me to do that. It feels really awkward to me to just run up on someone and be like, hey, can I talk to your gods? So I try not to do that unless people come up to me and say, hey, I really would like to interview my deity. Then I'll be like, yeah, hell yeah. But, Have I done Hecate? Yes. How'd the Ouija board experience go? It was, I don't think I was using it right, so it really was just kind of like, okay, it's a board, Do I play video games? Hell yes. Hell yes, I play video games. Someone said something else? No. Can make a video on things you need for witchcraft for beginners. I believe I already have some of these, actually. If you check out my Christian Witch info playlist, I think I have some there, or it might just be in Witch Talk Talks. I do know also, if you're looking to be a Christian witch, if you check out my friend Spirituality, who is another really cool Christian witch, she sells these beginner kits that also get bundled with my book here, right? So you can get a bundle from her that is 1 book and a kit. And in that kit comes like a rosary, a bell, holy water, holy oil, candles, and a really pretty crystal bracelet. So that might help. It also comes with like instructions on how to use everything and what they're for. Games that fight angels, demons, or other gods. They usually end up cringe. Like they usually end up kind of silly, unless it's SMT. SMT's pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. Persona 5 and all those kind of ones. Those are fun, although they end up being more like Pokemon, but I like that they give some lore about it. Like they got the little toilet demon Belphegor. I love that. Spoken with Archangel Uriel. Yes, that's also in that book that I held up. Oh yeah, spirituality with a period between T and everything else. Elden Ring. Yes. I have to restart Elden Ring though because it's been a long time since I played it and I forgot what I was doing. I'm like someone who will go halfway through a game, not touch it for like a year, and then be like, "Fuck, I have to start over because now I don't remember what I was doing." Oh god, Adam and Hazbin Hotel. I mean, like, I don't know necessarily what like. This is gonna sound mean. I don't know what age range this show was necessarily meant for. I'm assuming an adult one because of fucking the spider guy. I forgot what his name is, but. Adam irritated me as a character. I was just like, why are you so, like, flat? But, have I read that book? I have not, but I've heard good things about it. I don't think I've gotten... Is Stolas in Hazbin? Is he in Hazbin? I thought he was in a different one. I don't remember seeing Stolas. Alright, so I gotta run. I gotta run. Because, what are you speaking about? Oh, yeah, I mean, listen, first, before I run, how does spirit communication realistically look like? This is a really good question because, yes, a lot of people on TikTok, myself included for skits and comedy, will exaggerate, experiences. Granted, like, for me, I will say that I meditate, so I am, like, eyes closed and, like, my brain becomes a big fucking movie screen and I see all kinds of crazy stuff. So for me, a lot of stuff doesn't feel like an exaggeration because I'm seeing some insane shit. But for the most part, a lot of people are just, for comedic purposes, for entertainment, dramatizing some of the interactions they have, which I don't think is wrong. I don't have anything against it. It's people act like you're supposed to be having those experiences. It's like, no. Usually what it is, you put some stuff out, you do your thing, you get in the meditation zone, and then you get, like, snaps and phrases and pictures, right? You get images. I will say that there are times where it's really scary, or not like scary, but unsettling, because you suddenly feel that you are no longer in charge of what's going on in your head. Like, what I mean by that is, usually if you can imagine yourself walking someplace, suddenly you find yourself being, like, gravity pulled away to something else that your whatever entity is trying to point you at. That can happen, and when that happens, it's really creepy. It's really weird. It's like, oh no. Right? But for the most part, it's cards, it's feelings, images, sensations, ideas that pop out of nowhere that you can kind of weave into a coherent conversation. But it's not like the conversation we're having right now, But okay, with all that said, I do gotta go. I gotta run. I got some other stuff to do. But stay safe. Thank you guys for sitting with me. Thank you guys for dealing with all of the tomfoolery that was happening while I was trying to talk a good game. Maybe one day we'll have a nice little space where we cannot be bothered, but otherwise, I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you guys.